This is Listening with Franklin Livingston, and our listening guest is Noah Benson.
So, how were you friends when you were growing up, right? Were you homeschooled or you went to school?
I went to public school.
Public school. So how were your friends or the community you grew up in?
I'd say it was awesome. I mean, there were its ups and downs for sure. But for example, like four of my greatest friends, are friends that I met like in kindergarten, and so.
So you guys are still friends?
Yeah,
Oh.
we're still.
They all live nearby?
Yeah,
Oh.
one of which is in one of my bands I'm with. Another one is like a rock climbing buddy, and just overall, great guy, and but that over time, obviously it's been a long time. It's been 20 years, I guess, knowing each other, but. Speaking of like the, making friends and stuff, like I was never, it was never difficult for me to like make friends, but, like everybody else experiencing the public school background, like you were bullied and you were like, you were made fun of, and, by people who weren't particularly your friendly, but, ever since, I always think about the fact that I feel really lucky that, we have, like, that much in common, like, that to be friends for, like, 4/5 of my life, like, which is kind of crazy to think about, but, I tell people that, and they're like, what the heck, man? How have you guys not, like, killed each other yet? But, it's, along the way, though, like, speaking of elementary school, like, for example, those were definitely very formative years, because, like I said before, I was kind of like a hyperactive kid. I still kind of like am, but I've been working on that, on myself, but, I definitely like I wasn't like, I was a little over the top. I was totally like, I feel like I would get like jealous really easily, and I would be like attention seeking kind of sometimes, but I think that's more.
But this jealousy didn't do like you didn't hit someone on the head.
No, never.
So all your friends, you had the similar kind of values.
Yeah,
like,
I'd
not
say we did.
Bullies, or you were not beating other kids.
Yeah, I was never. I mean, I'm not like a fighter, really. I mean, need be, but like, but yeah, we were all kind of similar, but we had each other's backs, like we were always like it felt safe,
So one thing, if I were to ask, because you use this term "safe," and we got each other's back, what was the common theme or common value you all had, which you kind of noticed? You might be very young, but now you reflect and think back. So, what was the common theme or the value you all had?
I think it was like passion, I'd say, because we all had our interests, helped like kept us together, but also it was our our willingness to like grow, I'd say, because you could be interested in something that somebody else is interested in, but that doesn't mean like you guys would be friends, right?
Mhm.
Like, I mean, but we kind of like had the same passion, and the more we hung out, the more we trusted each other, because like I said, elementary school is kind of like a cutthroat, like I'm not even talking about middle school or high school, but like that was kind of like
Yeah.
but yeah, so not very cutthroat comparatively, but like that was definitely formative. And so I kind of we all had that like similar gumption of like, hey man, like we love Star Wars and monster trucks, like we're cool, man. And we're all like, yeah.
So if I were to apply the same principle at a broader level, the vision, right? So when you have the same vision, you're, especially here, say you're in a romantic relationship, you're in a marriage, you're in a business relationship, you're in as a nation, or if you have an organization, doesn't matter, like international. When I say international, more like global, I mean.
Mm-hmm.
The vision. So when you have the same vision and you're living for that, it's always successful because you know that that's our end goal as a community and as a group, right?
Yeah.
So what happened in the middle school and high school? You guys were together there too?
So actually, no.
Oh,
I went to a magnet middle school
where's that?
in Stanford.
Okay.
And it was
It's a public middle school?
yeah, so essentially it's like it's a lottery system. So
Oh.
and once you get in,
I
it's
didn't
called,
know there's a lottery system to get into a school.
yeah, so
Okay,
it's
tell me
magnet
more about that.
schools are it's an interesting principle. So so a magnet school you have to apply to, and it's not based on aptitude or anything. It's just they pick your number out of a hat or whatever, and you get to go there.
So you won that?
Yeah.
Or your parents won or you won?
No, I guess yeah, I guess I won. Yeah, but we it's called a magnet school because if you have a sibling,
Okay.
In which I have a younger sister,
Yeah.
2 years, my junior. She's allowed to come too. So I was senior. She was allowed to go, or 8th grader. She was allowed to come in as a 6th grader. But yeah, so that was obviously it was being away from my friends was pretty disheartening. Like I remember when my mom told me that I was going to this school, I'm pretty sure I broke down and cried because I was like, I want to go to school with my buddies. But she was like, it's a STEM school, like you're gonna get like a laptop or something and more opportunities or whatever. And so
Did you get a laptop?
no.
That was just a bait?
That sucked. No. Yeah, but
Did you like the school or no?
I had an okay time there.
Why? Because you missed your friends, or the overall quality was okay?
So actually, I think it was good for me to branch out a little bit because I've always been a believer in like kind of stepping out of my comfort zone in order to get better at whatever it is that I want to that seeking kind of new experiences sort of. But yeah, so it was a good experience overall, but the school was kind of small. But the teachers were pretty cool, and I actually did end up meeting a few really good friends there.
So you guys are still friends now?
A few of them.
Okay,
A few
wow.
of them. Not
But
as many.
your
Yeah.
original friends from elementary school
Yeah.
were still your friends.
Yeah.
And are still your friends to this day.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So
Oh.
I was like sad because I was like, oh man, like we're not gonna be able to see each other every day. But it, in reality, it was actually a bit of a silver lining because like, you know, that's healthy, you know, to go, you know, you don't have to see your friends every day.
Yeah.
Like, you know, you build your own life, you know, it's a little codependent, you know, but so I'm thankful for that experience. But I was very upset at first, I would say. But it was a good time. I mean, you know, my mom is always saying like, "Oh man, I should have sent you to like the schools that they went to." But I'm like, you know what? It's fine. Like I wouldn't have. I tell her everything I just told you, and but yeah, you know, it's and then like you know high school came around, you know. I don't want to jump the gun or anything, but
It's fine.
you know, like high school was actually a lot better of an experience because you know, middle school I was sort of like, I wouldn't say I was like getting bullied, but that was when I started feeling more like isolated, and I was like, okay, how can I find myself and find solace in being like alone and comfortable with myself. And so I was able to build those skills, but I actually went after I graduated in 8th grade. I got into another magnet high school.
You won
Stanford.
another lottery?
Yeah, you
So
know.
you were very lucky with lotteries.
You
Did you
know-
try this $1 million lottery ever?
Oh man, I buy scratch offs sometimes. I never get it. But I don't know. I would like to know what the chances of getting in are. But yeah, the high school was like, my school only had 700 kids, and the public school, and you know our town has 2,500 kids. It felt really small, and that was kind of annoying. But I met a lot of great friends there as well. But the coolest thing about high school is that you know, all my buddies, they also went to this public high school, and because it was high school,
The same buddies from the
yeah,
elementary. So you
same
all
buddies.
got united at the high school.
yeah,
Uh-huh.
yes. Well, actually, so I was going to a different high school than them, but because my little tiny school didn't have sports or like a lot of clubs or anything, I was able to like take the early bus and at like 1:30 and get over there and be a part of like you know whatever on Fridays actually. So it was just Fridays, but yeah, my buddy was the president of the guitar club over there, and so I would go every Friday and became the unofficial vice president of the guitar club.
Wow.
And so that was a
I mean,
better
just
experience. you
vice
know?
president. Who
Yeah.
cares, official or unofficial?
Vice president, but you know that's my obviously I care very deeply about them. You know, being able to spend all that time. You know, like an effort. You know, wanting to like be cool and developing our relationships. You know.
So, in elementary, middle, and high school, or even when you were younger, did you have a particular desire without knowing? You know, sometimes you ask a kid, "What do you want to be?" and the kid might say, "A pilot," or because they think that's cool, right?
Mhm.
Uh, or if it was Star Wars, then Luke Skywalker. Or I want to be. I don't know. I ever heard somebody want to be Darth Vader. But did you have that kind of thing? I want to be this or that.
Yeah. When I was 9, I remember very specifically. I wanted to be. That's when I really started to want to be a chef. Actually,
Oh, wow. Why? You cooked at, like you helped your mom at home?
Exactly. Yes,
Yeah,
my
okay.
mom is a very great chef herself, and I was so like into it, like just like the fast paced nature of it and the creativity of it all,
Mhm.
and I was always like I was never like a picky eater as a kid. Like I always liked a lot of different kinds of foods. So yeah, when I was 10, I took like a cooking camp at NCC.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, and that was awesome. But for the longest while, I wanted to be a chef.
Hmm.
But somewhere along those lines, that kind of changed a little bit, I guess. You know,
When did the change happen?
as any kid does, they go through like phases or whatever, right? But by the time I got to high school was when it really started kicking in, right? Going to tech school. Um, I was taking engineering classes, I was taking writing classes, business classes, and um, I couldn't figure out for the life of me what I wanted to do. But um, this is around the time I started like my first band,
Mm.
um, and we were like, "Yo, like let's make some merchandise. Like, let's all throw in $100. We'll buy some wholesale hoodies, do
Mhm.
some like iron-on stuff," and so that's what we did. And so we designed a couple of logos, um, made some stickers, got a bunch of different colored hoodies, and then I started selling those at school. And within a month, we made like $1,000. Uh,
That's a
and
lot of
so,
money. And
yeah,
being
for high
students.
schoolers,
Yeah.
yeah. Obviously, divide that by four, I guess, because everybody threw down. But still,
Mhm.
yeah. And so it was at that point when I realized that I really enjoyed marketing
Mm.
and merchandising. And so I was like, hey, you know what? I think I finally know what I want to go to college for.
Mm.
And so that's that I kind of mentally stuck with that in my
Yeah.
head all the
Marketing.
while. Yeah,
Mm.
all the while being like a musician though.
Mm.
Like obviously here I am now, but that was a very pivotal moment because it merged my music passion
Mm.
for with something that I actually felt like very confident and tangible about going to school for, because I kind of had no clue before that. Um, Music school was kind of like out of the question because I just didn't
Mm.
want to do that. Um, but
Why?
yeah,
Why didn't you want to do music school?
at the moment, it was because I wanted to um, appease like my excuse me, my parents, um, without even kind of communicating to them about like what I wanted to do, and so because I kind of was just going off of the connotation that, oh, if you go to music school, you're not gonna get a job anywhere. You're gonna be $200,000 in debt
Mm.
playing for like a $50 gig a
Yeah.
night. It's not. I was kind of self-loathing my like because of it, and and because of that, I didn't even want to have that conversation with my parents because I was afraid that they would, you know, hop on that mentality.
Mm.
But that was actually not true. Um, I found out years later, like, but also I just didn't really want to go to music school.
Mhm.
It's just like, you know,
You wanted to keep that
competitive.
as a more passion, but more like on the hobby side,
Yeah,
instead of converting into your occupation that generates funds. Yeah.
exactly. Yeah, and that, I was just doing what I wanted to do.
Hmm. And I think that's a wise thing to do. I mean, you use some wisdom and you were careful in your approach. because a lot of the arts-based degrees don't really earn you a lot of money.
Going to college, like my parents told me, like, hey, like, if this is, if you can do what you want to do, like, because they know like my attitude and my passion for things, and they always told me, like,
They didn't
do
force
it.
you to go A or B direction, which is also a
No.
great thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and so that's this was kind of like internal
Mhm.
internalized, and I think it was because that was during a period of my life where I was kind of like isolating myself a little bit, and that's kind of like when
Isolating from the parents, or in general, you were more
like in general, like
okay.
I was losing my sense of uh like socialness really, and that's like when my mental health like started taking a toll on me, and then that was before I realized like how important it was to take care of your mental health.
Hmm. Something I want to talk to you about. A lot of people have shared public schools were not great for them because they learned smoking or being sexually active when they were not supposed to, or a lot of stuff that's maybe not wise. So, how
Mm.
was it for you? Uh, was the environment overly sexualized, or it was what was the concept of romance for you? You knew you were a boy. Were you attracted to a girl? How all that happened? I mean, for some people, it does happen in junior high or early on.
Yeah. So I remember like the first time I had like a crush, I guess, was in third grade. And I remember very vividly. It was like the first day, and this like really cute girl walks in, and I just remember like feeling my heart go like, what is that? Like, what is
Mhm.
that feeling? But that was like elementary school, I guess. And so growing up,
I mean,
like,
feeling is feeling, right?
yeah,
You feel things even if you are one or two.
yeah. But it was very back then. It was kind of like hush hush, I guess, because like I remember like telling my one of my really good friends like that I had a crush on this girl, and it was like at a sleepover with like boys playing video games or whatever, and we were talking about it.
So when you say hush hush, do you mean like you don't share it with your parents or hide it from someone like teacher, or what does hush hush means?
So I like we didn't back then in elementary, like we didn't talk about it that much, like having a crush, because it was like kind of embarrassing,
Huh.
I guess.
And
Like,
it wasn't that long. You're not talking about 40
yeah,
years ago. It's
yeah,
just
no,
recently.
yeah. So, I remember when I told my buddy like that I had a crush on this girl. Like, it was like late at night at a sleepover, and like we fell asleep or whatever, and I woke up, and the first thing that hit my mind was like dread. Cause I was like, oh no, like I told him I like this girl.
Hmm.
Like, what have I done? Like, I felt so like gross. I don't know
Hmm.
what the emotion was. It was mostly like embarrassment, I guess, because I think I was maybe afraid of them telling somebody or something. But that just puts in perspective how like an elementary schooler thinks, because like nowadays like you go out or whatever and be like, yo, that girl's cute, man. And like you
But it
ask.
was innocent, right?
It was very innocent,
Yeah.
I would say. Yeah, like it was. I mean, like we, like growing up, going past that, like in the fifth grade, like that's when we got like the whole puberty talk.
How old were you in
Uh,
5th grade?
I was 10,
Hmm.
and that was really cringy. Going over it with a bunch of elementary schoolers, but obviously it was like kind of important because like your brain chemistry is changing and like your body chemistry or whatever. And so after that, I guess it got like a little less awkward, but up until like high school, like we didn't really talk about like crushes or whatever. And I don't think it was because of like our parents or anything. I think it was just more due to like social scrutiny because you were afraid of the word getting out and everybody being like, haha, like, they have a crush on this person. What a loser.
So it was
Like,
looked down.
yeah, I think it might have just been also like insecurity, I guess. Like, maybe if I was like more confident or something, then I wouldn't be as like sheltered about talking about it.
Did you ever talk to the girl? Hello, hi, anything?
No.
No.
Well, actually, a few times, like, but I was always like super nervous or like, I knew nothing about like relationships
No,
or
in general,
anything.
like, hey,
Yeah.
could I borrow your pencil or whatever you guys had?
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
Like we would be on a team or whatever, and I'd be like trying my best to like make them laugh without being too overtly like annoying or like without giving away the fact that I had like a crush on them or whatever.
Did you ever see her again in middle school, high school, or in general?
In high school,
Like,
yeah.
Oh, right, she was in the same high school as you?
No, she went to the one that my buddies went to.
Okay.
But after that, I had kind of like lost feelings because by that point I had already had like my first girlfriend or whatever, and then like
How did you meet her?
my first girlfriend.
Yes.
I met them because of my band, I guess. Like, so they also went to this other school. So one day, I think for like a talent show or something, we performed at the public school, not my school.
You were at Magnet, and
I was, yeah. And then they were there, and they saw the performance, and they like, that was the day we met, but it turns out like, I learned later on that they like thought I was like cute or whatever.
So she started talking to you, not to you?
Yeah, actually, the first time we ever like hung out, yeah, they texted me. It was like, let's hang out, and then eventually, we feelings started happening.
So in your high school, you didn't have this. How was the environment? You guys were more like reserved, or it was very open, wild?
So by that point, yeah, sorry to cut you off, but it was like a little less taboo, because we were getting more mature, like the elementary idea of like, oh god, everybody's gonna bully me was kind of out of the question because like now your social circle is larger and you feel like you're more comfortable around larger groups of people, and yeah, I think it was like, I just remember me not having a problem like being outwardly affectionate and like talking about it because I was growing as a person and my confidence like before in like middle school I really thought I was like super like ugly and like gross, and that kind of like led to like more me like sheltering like I was talking about before, Um,
But that
yeah.
was something you you assumed. How did it get into your head? If you were to reflect back.
Yeah, that's a great question because I think it was a product of like bullying, honestly, because I I wasn't bullied in the conventional sense of like getting beat up or like shoved into a locker, but like I was a little bit more on the shy side, and so I wasn't so outward as I was like in middle school or in elementary school because I was in this whole new group of people, you know, like I didn't know anybody. And like the first week was pretty exciting, but then after that, like people started establishing like you know, their groups, and I realized like some of these kids were like more like rude, you know,
Mm.
like more like environment when you're really trying to like do anything for a laugh
Mm.
from your buddies. And so a lot of times like I was a product of that, like of being, you know, a little bit more quiet, a little bit more shy. And so because of the bullying, like I think it like lowered my self-esteem a lot and my confidence. And I was like, well, if I was good looking or whatever, I wouldn't be bullied. Or if I was, you know, if I was more outgoing, you know, maybe I wouldn't be bullied. So I try to be more outgoing, but then I'd just like get shut down even more. So I think that's why I kind of like that kind of happened, because it was like it was a lot of external things, you know. It wasn't like an internal like chemical change in my brain. It was just like me reacting to the world around me.
Your friends, closest friends, did they ever show a sign if they say they did not articulate that you were not good looking?
No, never. Honestly,
So your
no.
perception was just based on a group of people who you use the term as confidence, who were just overly confident in more negative way,
Mm-hmm.
and that maybe came across as good looking.
Yeah, because I was thrown into this new like norm of like my community balance, you know. And so I was like, all right, I gotta keep my head above the water, but um, you know, so this is now the community I'm in, so I have to you know, be there. But again, this is all like, you know, my elementary brain, you know, like this is when before I knew that, you know, positive thinking leads to positive actions, which leads to positive behavior. You know, I didn't know anything about like positive reinforcement or that. And so I was kind of naive. I was very naive in believing, you know, these people that I don't even know,
Mm.
just solely because this is where I was put. You know, this is the community that I'm now a part of. And you know, even though I had my old friends like on the weekends and stuff, 90 like 80% of my week was a part of this community.